What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Fantasy Dome. And today we are going to be doing day one of draft week. So every day this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you guys are going to get 4 videos, all draft related. I think I'm going to make them all mock drafts. I guess I'll figure it out, but we're going to have 4 draft videos this week. And just as just getting up into the draft. I'm super excited about it, and if you guys are also excited, leave a like on this video and get me a subscribe right here. So the first draft that we're going to be doing this week, because it's going to culminate on Thursday, me posting my final mock draft, predictive mock draft of what's going to happen. So on the day one of draft week, we are going to be doing what the draft. So basically, what's going to happen is I'm going to be picking a lot of crazy players, a lot of players that aren't mocked to their spots. I'm going to make this draft as crazy as I can make it, but while still being realistic. Like, obviously, I'm not going to have the Eagles taking Jackson Dart or like the Chiefs trading Patrick Mahomes, but I'm going to make it something crazy. So I think we should get started right here. So, first of all, I think the Titans are still locked in. I think Titans and Browns are locked into their 2 picks, those being Cameron Ward and Travis Hunter. I think both of those guys are pretty much locked in, and I think that there's no other way that we're going to be seeing those differently. So I think that Cam Ward, Travis Hunter goes 1 and 2. And that's pretty much what it's going to be for all my mock drafts. I think it's pretty much guaranteed. The Giants haven't held top 30 visits with either 2 of those guys, and they're definitely on their consideration. They love those 2 guys going out of college, and I just think that these 2 are absolutely, completely locked in. So the actual draft, I think, starts right here with number 3 to the Giants, and starting out on what the trade, we are going to be trading down. So there are a lot of people who would trade up here for Abdul Carter. He is an unbelievable player, and who do I think is going to trade up to him? Am I going to make it a small deal, or am I going to make it a big deal? I think it's going to be interesting. I'm going to have the Seattle Seahawks trading up. They need an edge rusher. I think that they are, super desperate for one, and I think that, the Giants, they'll probably get their first next year, maybe even another first, definitely both seconds, but something like that. Obviously, they reject that trade, but yeah, I think it's going to be a similar package to that. But the New York Giants are going to be trading down with the Seattle Seahawks, a long ways down. However, the Seahawks are going to give up an absolute boatload of players. I could see them giving up maybe even some of their like some players as well. Like, who else could I see? Maybe like Zach Charbonnet, or maybe some of the defensive guys. Maybe one of their corners. But overall, I think that the Seahawks would be a sneaky team to trade up to 3 to pick Abdul Carter, because they need an edge rusher badly. And I think that Byron Murphy didn't show what he was going to, and I feel like he'll be better as his normal defensive tackle. So I am going to go Abdul Carter here. Now the Patriots at 4, they need offensive line absolutely badly. So where do they go? Ashton Jeanty. I think that Ramondre Stevenson is absolutely overrated, and I think that it's not out of the realm of possibility for the Patriots to be taking Ashton Jeanty here. Being said, I don't think it's going to happen. However, we're taking into account a lot of the scenarios in this draft. So I think Ashton Jeanty here to the Patriots makes a lot of sense. And then that leaves the Jaguars in a good position. They could take Mason Graham. They could even take an offensive lineman. I usually have them taking Mason Graham. I'm having them taking Armand Membou today. Armand Membou, a lot of people think he's the best tackle in the class. Me, I think he's second best behind Will Campbell, but the Jags aren't going to care as much as long as they get a franchise offensive tackle. I think they see their defense, and they're Mason Graham may be the best player on the board, but I think that they're going to opt for the offensive lineman instead, just because it's a bigger need for them than I think defensive tackle. which leaves the Raiders free enough to take Mason Graham. I think that this is not as crazy of a pick. Mason Graham to the Raiders. If he falls that far, I think they'll pull the trigger. And if Ashton Genty's not there, defensive tackle is a good need for them, and he's one of the best in the class, so I'll take it right here. Now, the Jets desperately need a right tackle. I don't have them taking it here because Armand Membou's off the board, and I don't think that they're going to trust Will Campbell to be the right tackle. So I am going to go Tyler Warren here. Probably a little early for him. And also, I should mention, I'm not going to be taking, like, Jackson Dart over Cam Ward in this draft, or, like, I'm not going to be taking Trey Amos in the top 10. This is going to be realistic positions, but it's going to be teams going away from what the mocks make them do. So, Tyler Warren here at 7. A lot of people like an offensive lineman here, or maybe even an edge rusher. Tyler Warren here is my pick. I think he's an unbelievable player, once again, out of Penn State. And I think overall, really, really good. And now the Carolina Panthers, without a second-round pick, they can either take one of the top players here, or they can even trade down and get a second-round pick. I think they do trade down, and I think they trade down with the San Francisco 49ers to gain their second-round pick from this year. So I think it's going to be something similar to, like, I messed that up. So the Panthers got to go first, and the 49ers got to go second. So it'll be something like, for their first and seconds, it'll be something similar to that, maybe some late round swaps as well. But I'm not going to worry about that right now because it is a one-round mock draft. But I think that the Niners will see Will Campbell on the board here and be like, oh, this is a chance that we can really trade up without having to give away a lot of our assets. So here we go. We trade up and we take Will Campbell right here. Right before the Saints who could take him, right before the Bears who could take him, they jump both of those teams to take Will Campbell, the offensive lineman, and the Panthers get a little bit more draft capital that they don't really have this year because they lost the second-round pick. Now we go to the New Orleans Saints. So New Orleans Saints definitely could take Shedeur Sanders. They need a quarterback. They could take pretty much any position, I think. I'm going to go Jalen Walker. I think that the Saints could desperately use a new edge to kind of get Cameron Jordan, because he's getting older. He's not going to be around for much longer. I know Jalen Walker doesn't fit the scheme exactly as what the Saints want to do, but I think that he's the second best edge in this class, and that he is going to just, I guess, take over, and they're going to scheme around him. Now, the Chicago Bears are going to go with running back Omarion Hampton. Ben Johnson loves his running backs. Omarion Hampton's on the board. I think that it's absolutely a no-brainer here for him, taking Omarion Hampton. And now with the Panthers here at number 11, an edge rusher is still here. Tetairoa McMillan is still here. Matthew Golden. I see that there's a lot of players that could go here. Even Will Johnson. Maybe even Malachi Starks, who I am going to go with. I know they have a lot of issues on that defense, but getting a ball hawk, superstar free safety, I think is one of the mistakes that they can definitely help, and they can get a dominant safety and make that secondary better. The Dallas Cowboys here, I think that it's going to be interesting. The Dallas Cowboys can go a lot of ways here. Tetairoa McMillan, maybe even Shedeur Sanders, Mike Green. But I'm going to have the third running back taken in the top 12 picks and go TreVeyon Henderson. Hampton and Genty are off the board. I think TreVeyon Henderson has the potential. And if Jerry Jones wants to make a franchise or a flashy pick that everyone's going to talk about, it could be TreVeyon Henderson. And do I think it's a smart decision? No. Do I think it's a good decision? It remains to be seen. But this running back class is loaded, and I don't think TreVeyon Henderson makes that out of the first. Rather than the Dolphins, who take Kelvin Banks Jr. Overall, once again, they need offensive line. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The two teams who I'm not sugarcoating with offensive line are the Dolphins and the Texans. They need it, and that's about it. The Indianapolis Colts are next. Tight end, center, linebacker. I'm going to go Shedeur Sanders here, though. because I think that Daniel Jones is, I know they drafted a quarterback 2 years ago. Daniel Jones is competition for Anthony Richardson, but Shedeur Sanders is even more competition for Anthony Richardson. And I think that with this Colts team, I think they aren't taking a chance on Anthony Richardson being bad again to only bench him for Daniel Jones. I think that they let Anthony Richardson still kind of chill out, but they have Shedeur Sanders too, and if he takes the starting job, he'll take the starting job. And I think it would be an absolute what the Colts pick. And the Falcons, they need a edge rusher or something on defense. So who do I think they're going to take? Colston Loveland to replace Kyle Pitts. They don't like what they see from Kyle Pitts. They have to pay him next year. I could see Kyle Pitts even being traded. But the Falcons have a history of drafting skill position players in the first round that they don't need. Do I think it's going to happen this year? Probably not. But Colston Loveland is a really good tight end. And, you know, he could do it. Kyle Pitts has been massively disappointing, but he still has value. So I think that they draft Loveland, maybe trade him away. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Now, the Arizona Cardinals, I think they take and see Will Johnson as an absolute steal at this part of the draft. Will Johnson is, once again, really, really good player, and I think that it's someone who they really need. An outside dominant corner. They have Grant Williams in the slot, but they have no one on the outside, and I think that Will Johnson can be that guy on the outside. So, we're halfway done with this draft, and just remember, everybody, in this draft is not about, you know, it's not about being realistic. This draft is about what would happen if teams took outlandish picks, and that are still kind of realistic. Kind of like the Falcons taking Michael Penix last year, or the Lions taking Jahmyr Gibbs. Who are those players that I think can be massive, like, that can make really weird moves, like the Seahawks trading up for Abdul Carter? It would be bold, but it would be weird. Which leaves the Bengals here with Shamar Stewart. Shamar Stewart, third best edge in the class, and the Bengals are super happy to get him here, especially if Trey Hendrickson goes away. But I think that Shamar Stewart is, once again, really, really solid player. Now, what do the Giants do here? They pass up on Abdul Carter. So they have a couple options here. I think if they pass up on him, I think it's got to be offense. And I think I'm going to go Matthew Golden. And the reason I go Matthew Golden is because I think that Matthew Golden will be able to complement Malik Nabers a lot more than other wide receivers can, a.k.a. Tetairoa McMillan. I think Tetairoa McMillan and Malik Nabers' game clashes in some areas, so I think having Matthew Golden on one side and Malik Nabers on the other, if they trade down, I think that it's a possibility. Is it a need? Probably not. Possibility? Yes. Which leaves the Bucs absolutely super happy to take Mike Green. Mike Green is, some people have him as a top 2 edge rusher in this class. I don't see him as that good, but Mike Green going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, going to be absolutely super happy about that, as well as the Broncos with taking Tetairoa McMillan. And I think that Tetairoa McMillan is, you know, very solid, very good quarterback, very good wide receiver, and he'll complement Courtland Sutton well. I think that you have Tetairoa McMillan on one outside, Courtland Sutton on the other outside, and have a guy like maybe Mims or Franklin in the slot. I really like that. Maybe even Vele. And they'd have probably one of the best receiver, I guess the best mid-receiver core in the league. Now the Steelers, I usually have them taking a quarterback. I'm going to have them taking Derek Harmon here. One of their biggest needs is a defensive tackle, and Derek Harmon is really, really good in this class, and I like him here. I like him here at 21. Which leaves the Chargers to take Mykel Williams. I know they have I think it's Tuli Boop. I'm not even going to try and say his name. But they released Joey Bosa, so I think why not go 1-for-1 and have Mykel Williams join the LA Chargers. I think it'll be interesting to see. which leaves the Green Bay Packers. Now, what are they going to do? They could go edge. They can go receiver. They could even go a linebacker. I'll have them go Shahad Campbell. I know they just got Edgerrin Cooper, but maybe they decide to pair him up with another linebacker. And the Packers are known to make defensive moves in the first. Maybe you have, two really, really good linebackers instead of just one. I think it's not out of the question, and it could be a what the pick. Which leaves the Minnesota Vikings to take, it depends. I don't know what they're going to take. I'll have them take offensive lineman Tyler Booker out of Alabama. I think they spent a lot of capital in the offensive line to protect J.J. McCarthy. I think Tyler Booker could be the piece that brings it all together. Finish the offensive line, get Tyler Booker. Texans, like I said, not messing around. Gray Zabel, and that's pretty much done. The LA Rams draft the succession to Matthew Stafford in Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart I feel like, is more than likely going to be a second rounder just because of the Shedeur Sanders slide. I don't think he's going over Sanders, but I don't think that Sanders is going to go in the early first. It's either going to be the Giants, the Saints, or the Steelers. I don't think, or the Colts. But realistically, Giants, Saints, or Steelers unless someone makes a bombshell move. But Jackson Dart here to the Rams, if he's on the board, I don't hate it. And then you have the Ravens. And this is going to be interesting. I'm going to take Luther Burden. I don't know why I can see Luther Burden as a Raven so badly. But I just don't know. He's one of those guys that you can just, when you picture him in your mind in the NFL, you picture him in a Ravens jersey. I don't know why, but I think he's going to be a Raven. Which leaves the Lions taking Jahdae Barron. Big boy corner. Super, super solid. And, I really like him here out of Texas. And he fell super far. Lions need a secondary player. Like the Commanders, who get Nick Emenwari, are absolutely stoked to get Nick Emenwari. Best bet, in my opinion, he is right up there with Malachi Starks. But Malachi Starks is still better. But Nick Emenwari is such a good safety, and he's an unbelievable player. Which leaves the Bills taking James Pierce Jr. here at 30. Once again, I love him as an edge rusher. I think he's a super solid edge rusher. And the Chiefs need offensive line with Josh Simmons. So James Pierce, Josh Simmons. These are kind of normal picks. Except now the Philadelphia Eagles. What are they going to do? The last thing that I see happening in this draft is a trade. And I think that the Browns are going to be scared that someone's going to leapfrog them. So I'm going to have the Browns trade up one spot to the Eagles. Not going to be for that much, but they're going to trade up one spot for the Eagles because I think they're going to be scared that their quarterback, Jalen Milroe, will get taken in the first round and that someone will trade up to get Milroe. I think they'll be scared, and I think they're going to trade up for a quarterback. And Jalen Milroe becomes the 32nd pick, and who knows? Will Jalen Milroe, as the 32nd pick, do what Lamar Jackson did as the 32nd pick? So, I hope you guys enjoyed episode 1 of Draft Week. And once again, if you liked What the Draft, please leave a like and subscribe on this video. And I'll see you guys in the next video.